And away we go. So, in case you've already noticed, I got new headphones. It's the same model as my previous ones that just broke, and I had to use the older ones temporarily until then. So, yeah, let's see how these pair last for. Other than that, so let's see what me and the lads in the group chat have sent that we've seen on our pipelines that social media are trying to get us ramped up about, or stay focused, or just to keep us on those platforms for a very long time. Because that's what they do. I don't blame them. But still, it's concerning. And quite worrying too. Starting off with, Eric Taylor sent a Twitter X post by Fearbuck at Fearbuck. The caption reads, Nikocado Avocado says being gay was fun, but he wants a wife and kids now. Eric then replied to that. Actually, no, before I get to what Eric said, the photo in that Twitter X post shows two pictures of Nikocado Avocado. On the left side of the picture was him with hair, and his physique was a bit kind of wide. Not gonna lie, it was very wide. And then on the right side is again Nikocado Avocado. He's shaved all of his hair off, and his physique is a lot slimmer than he used to be. Now, what Eric said in response to that post, he said, I don't know if he's trolling or not, but this just proves that being gay is indeed a choice. What Jose Mourinho once said. I'm not sure why I don't fully remember what he said that one time as a Premier League manager. He did say those words famously, and the rest was history. So, could Nikocado Avocado be trolling us again like he did when he only did what he did when he was overweight, just to see how people treat him given his lifestyle choices, and then eventually he lose in secret he lost all that weight, come back with his new physique to show that everything is an illusion. It's an experiment. You're being fooled. I remember when he did that, and I was laughing my ass off. Not too much, but I found it quite funny how Nikocado fooled everyone. I did have my suspicions at first. Then once I realized what he was really doing behind the scenes and what he was doing behind the scenes all along. Okay, yeah, fair play, Nikocado. Fair play. You bamboozled everyone on the internet, and I respect that. I'm impressed with what he did to fool everyone on the internet. So just going back to that Twitter X post, he says he wants kids and he wants to be married to a woman. And again, what Eric said, he's saying that being gay is a choice. And I'm not saying he's wrong, but he's not right either. Actually, I should have said the other way around. It is true though. He's not particularly right, but he's not wrong either. I think reasons why people choose to be in a relationship that is of the same sex can stem through many possibilities. It could be inspiration of someone who's already in the LGBT community that has inspired young people to explore their sexuality. Or possibly, I'm not saying this is true for a lot of people, it is also possible that when people try to get into a relationship with someone of the opposite sex, things don't go their way for reasons that only they would know, as they're the ones going through that experience. And because of that experience, which has not been very good for those people, trying to be in a relationship with someone of the opposite sex, they try dating someone of the same sex and see how that goes. And again, for reasons within their own experience that they would know, they look at the situation they're in and think, where has this been all my life? This feels different. I kind of dig it somehow, they say. That's just my thoughts and my perspective. There could be other reasons besides what I just explained, and I can't say know much about why people feel attracted to particular groups of people the way they do, mainly because it's down to their own experience. Everyone's going to have different experience to why they made the choices they made in their lives and chose to be in the relationship with those they are in a relationship with. I'm taking that into consideration from my own perspective and in my opinion. I don't think there's anything else for me to add on besides what I already just mentioned and said. I'm not going to argue with people's life choices or who they're in a relationship with, even if, like Eric, they disagree with their choices and want to turn people away from such choices. I'd say let them do what they want to do. And if people decide at some point in their lives in the next few years, they say, maybe this is not for me, I want to try something else instead. That's okay. People can do that. It is okay to change how you live your life. What's not okay is to make those choices if people think that that would get them lots of attention. And there are cases that has happened. Don't do that. That's what I would say. You can make the choices you want to make in life if that is what you want to do. Don't make these choices for the sake of getting clout, for the sake of getting attention, and think people will stand by or accept the choices that you make. At some point, people are going to find out what you really think of these choices. You'll be called out on it, and you're going to get cancelled. That's just me. Otherwise, if you believe in the choices you make, and it is something you want to commit into doing, I have no problems. It's important that you are aware of the situation you're in, because even if the choices you do make does bring you joy, there are going to be cautionary warnings and dangers from the choices that you make in your lives. Like, there are countries in this world where the choices you make, the relationships you're in, is illegal. It can get you in prison or even give you the death penalty. I'm strongly against the latter for anything. That is everything that I would say and just get off my chest. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. Risk 11 has sent a message into the group chat talking about the Gorton and Denton by-election in the UK because Andrew Gwynn, the MP for Gorton Denton for the Labour Party, he had to step down because of health-related issues. He was being advised by his doctors to step down as MP. Now, as of this recording, I'd assume in the next few days, maybe tomorrow, I'm not too sure, but certainly in the next few days, there's going to be a by-election taking place for Gorton and Denton for the newest MP in the Houses of Commons. So Risk 11 sent a message saying, who do you think wins Gorton and Denton? I replied, the Greens for sure. And it is true. There's going to be people online that will say, oh, Reform has a chance. And I agree. Reform can possibly take the seat for Gorton and Denton. I have looked at multiple opinion polls, and most of the polls I've seen, it is either between Reform or the Greens being the favourites to win the Gorton and Denton constituency. Even if people say the Reform has a massive gap between them and the Greens, I would say the Greens have a chance of winning Gorton and Denton. Even the bookies saying that the Greens have a chance of winning the Gorton and Denton by-election. And that is going to be the case. I'm not ruling out Reform to take the seat, or for Matt Goodwin to win the seat, to be the MP for Gorton and Denton. Most opinion polls and broadcasts, nowcasts, whatever people call these days, they're having the Greens as the ones to win this week, or as of this recording, the upcoming Gorton and Denton by-election. The other parties like Labour, the Tories, Lib Dems, forget them. It's about the Greens and Reform. Those two parties are the ones that could take the seat, they will win it. One of the two parties will win it. So yeah, that's just my opinion. That's my perspective on things. And I'm not just saying this because of what Opinions Poll says. And whilst I haven't travelled to the actual constituency myself in the past, I am aware, however, of the neighbourhoods within Greater Manchester. A lot of the people in Greater Manchester had voted for Labour in the last general election, under the impression that Labour would deliver on the promises they say they would do once they get into government, which they are in. Yet, only to find out, Labour is either not delivering on most of the promises they say they will do, or in some cases, they're doing the opposite of what they promised during the run-up to that last general election. And a huge portion, not all Labour voters, there are still some Labour supporters that are still loyal to the party. There's a massive chunk, a handful of former Labour voters that are now becoming members of the Green Party, or at least they say that if the next local or general election comes up, they will vote for the Greens. And not sure if this was before or after Zach Polanski won the Greens leadership election. I know for sure, since Zach Polanski became leader of the Green Party, the Greens have really exploded in popularity. The numbers have doubled since he became leader. Polanski has been interviewed by many legacy mainstream media outlets. BBC Question Time he was on, alongside Yusuf, and just getting his thoughts about what he would do. It's all going up for the Greens. There's no stopping them. So, yeah, let's see what happens in Gorton and Denton. Oh yeah, I was saying about Greater Manchester. And, yeah, if there was anyone that would say I'm going to vote for Labour in the next election, don't be surprised if those same people then go on to say I'm voting for the Greens in the next election. Maybe not now, and not in the next few months or the next year or two. At some point, if Labour continues to going down the path they're going down, and whatever Labour promised at the last general election isn't delivered, or at least most of what they promised, the number of supporters Labour has will continue to dip. And out of those that say they will no longer support Labour are going to defect to the Greens. That I know for sure. Other left-wing parties like your party, Workers' Party of Great Britain, I'm not going to say they don't have a chance. There isn't much buzz or discussions regarding those parties. So we'll have to wait to see what happens there. So that is as much I will say on this discussion, this topic. So to the Greens candidates, Hannah Spencer for Gorton and Denton, best of luck to you, and yeah, let's see what result you get, and maybe we'll see you in, no, not maybe, but we will see you in Westminster. I am certain that she will be the next MP for Gorton and Denton. Not that I support the Greens or anything, I know for certain, given what I've seen and what I know about Greater Manchester, that is the result I believe is likely going to happen. I'm not ruling out reform, but I know the Greens are the clear favourites. There is no doubt about that. Eric has sent a Twitter X post by the account Germanic Night Frog at ger_night_frog. The caption of that Twitter X post reads, "Touch your nose if JFK Jr. is alive. Bunny emoji." The picture on that Twitter X post is a screenshot of a Instagram live stream with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and another person on Instagram with the username 1986 The Act. And within that screenshot, at the top of that picture screenshot, there's Robert F. Kennedy Jr. at the top, and at the bottom is the guy that I believe, from what little knowledge I have, is the person running the account 1986 The Act on Instagram. Okay, so here is that Twitter X post that Eric just sent.
It was extraordinary on so many levels. The memo, and this memo, all of the documents are not in the public domain, and the beach memo is one of those documents. It was a discovery document. It was given to me by Mike Hugo, one of the original lawyers in vaccine injury litigation, who could not, they would settle before they get to a jury. And they had to do that because they could not have memos like the beach memo being paraded in a court of law.
Hey guys,
Okay, so in regards to what's been said, that's not the important thing. If you actually watch the visuals of that video, again, someone commented, touch your nose if JFK Jr. is alive, funny heart emoji. And within that moment, mere seconds apart, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. then put his hand or his fingers over his nose, showing that he did see the message. So yeah, if people watch that video on Twitter X, seeing what Robert F. Kennedy did when he touched his nose, mere seconds after someone commented on the live stream, touch your nose if JFK Jr. is alive, that's scary. I'm not expecting people to say, no, the Kennedys are alive. I'm not sure who would have anything against the Kennedys. Or people would say, the Kennedys aren't alive anymore. They've been unalived because assassinations or another thing that I can't think of. Even if there are people that say publicly, without any pressure or hesitation, there will be people that will say, that's not true. That didn't happen. Stop listening to everything you hear online. And used to say they're wrong. That is just me, in my opinion. And that is everything that has been sent so far. There's not much, just as I'm start recording, and the last time I recorded a podcast episode. So, with that being said, let's get right into the news. Rhode Island college student passes away of carbon monoxide poisoning after charging phone in car during blizzard. A 21-year-old college student, Joseph Boutros, died of carbon monoxide poisoning after charging his phone in a snow-covered car during a blizzard in Newport, Rhode Island. Boutros, an offensive lineman of the South Regina University football team, American football team, was found unconscious in a running vehicle with the exhaust pipe blocked by snow. The South Regina community mourned Boutros' tragic and accidental death, describing him as having a contagious smile and selfless spirit. I will say, rest in peace, Joseph Boutros. I send my condolences to his friends and family. I'm not going to get into the whole weather manipulation, modifying stuff. I get enough of that online already. And also, even if I don't say it, one of the lads in the group chat I'm in will say it for me. Or at least most of what I won't say in episodes like this. So, back to the carbon monoxide poisoning. It's so sad. I don't know Joseph. Most likely, not many people know much about Joseph outside his college American football team. It is unfortunate, very unfortunate, for lives to have been lost accidentally or from causes that would otherwise not have happened if it wasn't for particular circumstances or events regarding to weather patterns, local infrastructure, or to some extent, actions of other people. In this case, particularly, is the weather patterns within the area that Joseph Boutros is originally from. If the snow weren't to happen in the US as of this recording, most likely this may not have happened. There will be people that would likely argue that even if the snow didn't happen, Joseph could have died anyway, given that whatever gas was emitting from his charger could have been strong enough to unalive him, and that could likely be the case. The snow that's pouring down in the United States would certainly be thick enough to the point Joseph has nowhere else to go. Even if he wanted to leave his car, if the snow in America was thick enough to prevent any cars from any doors of his car from being opened on any side, he's just stuck. He is enclosed and trapped. He's got nowhere else to go. So I don't. There's nothing else for me to add on. I've said what I've said. Rest in peace, Joseph Boutros. Condolences I send to his friends and family, and of course people in the community, or Regina or Regina. I'm not sure how it's pronounced in the US, but I know that people in that community will be mourning his loss. US country singer cancels Canadian tour after being denied entry. This week, US singer Charlie Crockett cancelled his entire Canadian tour after being refused entry twice at the British Columbia border and apologized on Instagram. I thought the Canadians would be the one apologizing. That's just me. A Government of Canada letter said Crockett was refused entry due to a March 22nd, 2016 felony conviction in Virginia for cannabis distribution, citing inadmissibly under Section 44(1). Scheduled shows include Saskatoon's TCU Place on Wednesday and a March 2nd Toronto date at History with opening act Jake Vaderland. The North American tour resumes March 7th in Pennsylvania. Opening act Jake Vaderland apologized for the missed shows, and Crockett said he is sorry and aims to return as soon as he can, with refunds being issued. The episode follows a pattern of cross-border paperwork issues with Crockett, who has toured Canada before and has 15 albums scheduled to release Age of the Ram on April 3rd. Now, where do I begin? Do I go into how border checks in Canada is somehow stricter than the US's? Or do I go into how a felony conviction from 2016 being the reason why an American country singer was not allowed to be entered into Canada? Either way, and people can make of this information as they like. One thing is for sure, no matter what you have done in the past, there will be times you have to prepare yourself for when the worst is yet to come, or is about to happen. You gotta keep your eyes peeled, and always come prepared. Lawyer yourself up if you can. Or if needed. Not always, but if absolutely necessary. So stay on your heels, folks. You never know. Mexico passes 40-hour workweek bill championed by President Sheinbaum. On February 25th, the Ministry of Labor posted details confirming Mexico's Congress approved a bill to reduce the legal workweek from 48 hours to 40 hours. With phased implementation from 2027, the reform aims to reduce hours gradually, with President Claudia Sheinbaum introducing the initiative in December to address over 2,226 work hours per year and 55% informal sector workers. After 10 hours of debate, critics said the bills The bill raises weekly overtime to 12 hours from 9, and business groups warn shorter hours could raise labor costs and hurt productivity. The lower house approved the bill's outline on February 24th, with 469 deputies present and later approved. Particulars with 411 votes. Final enactment depends on more than half of state legislatures, with January 2027 as the first implementation date. Regionally, Mexico joins Chile and Colombia in trimming legal work weeks under leftist governments, while Brazil pursues similar laws and a Nexus poll shows more than 60% support. I do have one thing to add. If you think working long hours affects productivity, or if longer working hours equals a reduction of productivity quality, I think there's a different problem, I would say. You could you can work the entire day, yet you can provide as much productivity throughout the entire day as much as you would if you were given half the working hours that particular day. Why could that be the case? It comes down to how much time within their work they're given breaks. I've heard I heard something called the Pomodoro method, where for every 25 minutes of work, you get a 5-minute break. I've looked into it in my own time, and I'm with that idea. So I'm not saying to go against these governments that want to reduce work week hours. All I'm saying is the issue isn't the total hours of work time people are given in their countries. It comes down to how much breaks workers are given in between work. I think if these governments implemented some kind of Pomodoro method where workers are given 5-minute breaks for every 25 minutes of work, there would be no need to implement such laws like this. And I'm not going to stop these governments if they are wanting to implement legislation of reducing workweek hours. I would say if you want to tackle productivity in the workplace, it's important that sufficient break time is given to workers in proportion to the amount of work that these workers have been given or have done so far throughout the day. That's it. That's all I would say on that. Nothing against reducing work week hours. I think if people are concerned about the productivity within the workplace, give workers enough break time hours based on the amount of work time hours these workers are given within their workplace. Everyone needs a break every now and then. You can't just overwork these people non-stop. They won't get the job done. You gotta give people time to rest. So that way they can provide the best quality of productivity in the workplace. German union calls nationwide local transport strike for February 27th and 28th. The Verdi union has called for warning strikes in local public transport on Friday and Saturday. According to the union, employees in almost all German states are expected to walk off the job. Here's an overview. The state of Hesse is already affected by warning strikes today. Frankfurt am Main, Wiesbaden, Marburg, and Gießen have been named as locations. On Friday, full-day work stoppages are planned in Frankfurt, Wiesbaden, Gießen, Marburg, Offenbach, and Kassel. Strikes are also planned for Saturday in the same cities, except for Offenbach. In North Rhine-Westphalia, Germany's most populous state, around 30 municipal transport companies with approximately 30,000 employees have been called out on warning strikes. for Friday and Saturday. According to the Verdi Union, this affects almost all major cities, from Bonn, Cologne, Düsseldorf, and Duisburg to Oberhausen, Gelsenkirchen, and Dortmund, and as far as Hagen and Bielefeld. The Aachen Transport Company ASE AG is one of the few exceptions in North Rhine-Westphalia, as the collective bargaining negotiations do not apply to them. In Berlin, no buses, trams, or subways will run on the Berlin public transport system for 48 hours on Friday and Saturday. The S-Bahn and regional train services operated by Deutsche Bahn are not affected. In Germany's small state, Bremen, public transport will also come to a standstill on Friday and Saturday. All buses and trams operated by Bremer Straßenbahn AG (BSAG) will be out of service from Friday morning until Saturday night. This will also affect football fans travelling to the Werder Bremen versus Hoffenheim match. However, like other public transport users, they can use an intercity bus. These lines from the surrounding districts also serve several stations in Bremen. In neighbouring Lower Saxony, a peace order is in effect, and buses and trams are running according to schedule. Regional trains between Bremen and Lower Saxony are also expected to operate as usual. So if you're in Germany right now and you've got places to be on Friday and or Saturday, well, you gotta prepare yourself, plan ahead of time, and always make sure that there aren't any further delays once you do travel or commute on public transit. There'll be services that are on strike and others that are not. Somehow these particular public transit companies, they're in line with whatever the Verdi Union has negotiated with these companies, which workers of other transit companies are going on strike for, because from my perspective, those said public transit companies are not within the particular negotiation demands from the Verdi Union workers. So to hear that if there are public transit companies still going ahead with services despite the strike, I'd assume that those particular companies are already in line with the Verdi Union negotiations for their union workers. So yeah. So anyone in Germany, prepare yourself, plan ahead of time, and always make sure there aren't any gobbledygooks or hiccups or any pickles lying about somewhere. They're never good. Pickles aren't very good, in my opinion. That's just me. Protest held on Greek island against docked US aircraft carrier as Iran tension builds. On Tuesday, February 24th, 2026, protesters in Chechnya held an anti-war rally opposing the docking of the USS Gerald R. Ford at the Souda Bay Naval Base. The Ford reached the Greek island on February 23rd and is en route to join a major US force buildup amid Iran tensions, while the Pentagon moved more than 120 aircraft and operates two carrier strike groups. Backed by the Greek Communist Party, the peaceful rally in Chechnya featured protesters holding placards spelling "Killers" near Souda Bay, which hosts about 1,000 military and local personnel. Dozens of non-essential personnel were evacuated from the US Embassy in Beirut on Monday as a precaution, while Geneva talks on Thursday are viewed as a last chance to avert a US strike. However, the board's extended deployment has left most of its 650 toilets non-functional, prompting $400,000 fixes that requires docking unlikely in hostile waters during at least 8 months at sea. One thing that just I thought, what the heck was that? What the heck? I didn't know that was, at least when I read 650 toilets non-functional. I'm not sure if that's some kind of military equipment used by the Navy, or if they were talking about the kind of toilets that people go to do their business. Either way, I was just like, huh? Toilets non-functional? What does that have to do with the protests? So anyway, so of course the people, and actually, you know what? I'm kind of on this boat as well, to some extent. I don't want to see violence. I don't want to see war. If these military people got to do what they have to do, then what else is there? What is there to do? And there is something else to do. What I'm talking about is there any way to prevent something like this happening? And I hope there is a solution like that, where people can negotiate something, make a deal, and then continue with their lives. If it means violence has been deterred in all capacity. And that's something I have my thoughts and concerns about. I don't want to see violence. I don't want to see war happening anywhere around the world. And even if it is validly justified to apply aggression on another nation, I'm still against the violence and the war that could happen to people. So, whatever happens, I hope negotiations are peaceful. Something is discussed that is crucial to discuss, and whatever happens for the people, the people get what people of Iran ask for: a change in government, a reform, or a change in their system across the nation, and anything else that the people of Iran are protesting. I hope that comes into fruition. I'm not sure. I haven't seen anyone saying otherwise or say anything against what people in Iran are protesting for. All I say is, whatever happens in Iran, there is something peaceful, negotiated somewhat, and whatever the demands are, people come to a common ground and unanimously agree on those negotiations. Not everyone is going to be on board with it. I would say, hopefully, everyone is on board with such negotiations. Whatever said negotiations with that might be. 6 planets will parade across the night sky at the end of February. Wow, that's a lot of people talking about it. On Saturday, February 28th, a rare 6-planet parade will appear shortly after sunset in the western sky, presenting an uncommon multi-planet grouping. Astronomers note that the planets appear grouped because they follow the ecliptic, the solar system's shared orbital plane, and NASA says parades of 6 or 7 planets are uncommon. Look west about 30 minutes to 1 hour after sunset from dark. Unobstructed sights like ocean beaches, and bring binoculars and a 6-inch 15-centimeter telescope. Visibility will depend on weather, and the parade should be visible over the weekend if skies cooperate, with Mercury dipping below the horizon soon after sunset and the waxing gibbous moon about 92% illuminated near the Beehive cluster. Historically, last February's 7-planet lineup, a rare event, won't reoccur until 2040, highlighting the rarity of such celestial displays, with a total lunar eclipse following on March 3rd. Well, it's going to be a busy couple weeks for astronomers, and people working at NASA, that's gonna be quite the sight to see for a lot of people. And it's stories like these that gives people the reason to say, "Oh, there is a space. What are you talking about, the firmament and such? Who knows? Anything is possible." And also, who knows what more information comes out regarding the barrier that separates us on Earth from what is out in the space sphere or the universe, somewhat. And if there is a firmament, like most people are saying, is there anywhere else that we could explore? Maybe the ice wall that is Antarctica? I hear a lot of people talking about the ice wall. And not all celebrities. A few celebrities have said, although they haven't said directly that they have been. Other people associated with these celebrities talking publicly saying, "Oh, do you know about the ice wall?" And these celebrities are like, yeah, whatever. They know it. Yes. The reason why people would say there is an ice wall is either from reflections from our moon that indicates there are other worlds out there besides what's on that we can see from, well, Google Maps, as well as, like I said, some of the celebrities that were given the opportunity to discover and explore Antarctica. There may allegedly be other worlds that are yet to be discovered. So, yeah, let's wait and see then, I guess. And that is it for the episode.